Good evening. Welcome to the May 21st Clifton Park Town Board meeting. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pat, if you'll call the roll.
Councilman Whalen is absent this evening. Councilman Stendar. Here. Councilman Milano.
Here.
Councilman Wallowitz. Here. Vice Mayor.
Here, entertain a motion to approve Town Board meeting minutes of May 7th.
So moved.
Second.
By Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Wallowitz. Discussion.
Councilman Stendar.
Here, yes.
Councilman Milano.
Yes.
Councilman Wallowitz.
Yes.
Vice Mayor.
Yes, communications and announcements. We're finishing up our year of youth court here on Wednesday, correct?
We are,
Yeah,
yes.
So our last hearing is on Wednesday, and I want to thank Mrs. Standart and her team. I'll let you thank your team.
Yeah, we had, thank you for bringing that up, Supervisor. We had another fantastic school year of youth court. And we are wrapping up for the school year, and I've had tremendous help for another year with my new director, Melinda Acker, and Cindy Scavo and Donovan Ryan. They've really stepped up and helped us out, and the kids have been tremendous.
Yeah.
This was our largest class this year of kids that we trained back in September, and they did a phenomenal job. So,
Yeah, I sure did. And it's great because now that we're a few years into the program, we have leaders, kids that really have taken a leadership role over the last few years, and to see them grow as they proceed through the program, and how they act as mentors for the new volunteers that are getting involved. So it's wonderful to see. Any other communications and announcements? Okay. Tomorrow, there's going to be at the Senior Center, we have some great senior volunteers at our center, and they undertook a huge project. Gosh, there was at least a dozen of them working on making toys for the animals up at the county animal shelter, and they're going to present those tomorrow.
Actually, yeah, it was kind of an interesting situation that the craft ladies came to Terry Cook, the animal control officer, and I several weeks ago, and suggested for a craft project, they make some catnip toys for the cats at the shelter. And then someone suggested that they had a lot of fabric for some reason donated, and they suggested maybe they could make dog beds and cat beds. And it turned out that by the end of the second week, they actually had to move into the big room at the senior center and put up lots of tables because there were so many women coming from the fabric shop, that they're stuffing in the fabrics and their own things. And so by the end of last week, we had floor-to-ceiling in a storeroom, dog beds, cat toys, and then they started bringing in other donations for the shelter too, the things that the towels and foods and dog biscuits, and there's just boxes of things. So we decided, because they went to so much trouble, we'd have a little presentation tomorrow, sometime between 10:30 and 11 at the Senior Center. So you can stop in and applaud these wonderful people. I'm so proud of them. They did a great job, and the shelter is just thrilled with all the material that they'll have for some time to come.
Yeah, it was great. They set up a little assembly line there, and they're working away, so we do appreciate it. So we're going to make that tomorrow, so thank you for the reminder on that. I also want to mention that the Clifton Park Community Chorus will be performing the American Experience, a collection of music that spans time and genre to capture a glimpse of the tunes that form the background of our lives. Admission is free. It's Sunday, June 3rd at 3 p.m. Easy to remember, June 3rd, 3 p.m. at the St. Edward the Confessor Church. Beautiful new church that was recently constructed. And that's on Clifton Park Center Road, and then also a repeat performance. Sunday, June 24th at 7 p.m., and that's going to be outside on the stage at the Commons. So two opportunities to see our town clerk, Pat O'Donnell, and the community chorus, and please come out and join us. Definitely a lot of fun.
And we do have a soloist for, I hate to say intermission because it's not really intermission. I don't like that. throw somebody in it in admission. And there will be a soloist in it.
Well, I'm doing 3 songs, so I appreciate the invitation very much. And I think Romano's going to be backup. I think he's playing the spoons or something.
He didn't run that by me.
Just got to make sure he can keep beat.
There you
I don't go off.
Depends on what day it is.
I don't want to go off beat. Sunday. That should be a good day for him. Fresh from church. All right, so Saturday we had a wet and damp Hamlet hop down at Bishop Ferry. It's something new that we're doing in May, and we've had Open Space Awards Day in celebration of our preservation of now over 1,500 acres of property permanently preserved in the town, and many additions to our Parks and Recreational Network. We're very proud of that, so definitely something to celebrate, but we tried something a little different this year, and that was a focus not only on our open space preservation efforts and the history of the town, but spotlighting a particular area of town. The town, before the Northway was constructed and the growth began in the 60s, we had various hamlets in town that were very distinct and had their own character. One such place is Bishop Ferry, and it's maintained that character through the years, and there's so many positive things happening in that area of town. So we coined the Hamlet Hop. Unfortunately, due to the weather, it turned into the Hamlet Slop, and but it certainly didn't dampen anybody's spirits, and we still had many people that attended the day's events, many neighbor community groups that attended. We were passing out information and talking to folks as they went through, so it was certainly a very nice day despite the weather. John Shear, he was in garb playing the role of Mr. Clute, and he also gave a history presentation of Bishop Ferry at the firehouse. And that's where all the community groups were set up, at the firehouse. So I do want to thank the Bishop Ferry Fire Department, because I know there was a lot of work for them to make sure that everything was set up for the community group. So thank you to them as well. What we've done each year is present an Open Space Award. Frank Berlin, Jim Rule have won that award, and our nominee this year was Ray Seymour. And we certainly expected Ray to be there Saturday. His wife was. So when I said, "Hey, where's Ray?" "Oh, he's not here. He had to leave." I said, "Oh boy." But so I told her. I said, "Well, he's actually getting an award at 1 o'clock." So she got on the phone. Didn't break the news to him. Kept it a secret, and he showed up. But he was helping family move some stuff. So as Ray's always helping somebody, God bless him. But so we did give this to him at the Bishop Ferry General Store on Saturday, and invited him here this evening. And I just want to talk a little bit about what Ray has done in Clifton Park and Saratoga County at large. He's been actively involved in support of land conservation throughout Saratoga County for decades, starting with the Land Trust of the Saratoga region, a precursor organization to Saratoga Plan. And for those that don't know, Saratoga Plan is basically a land trust that serves Saratoga County and works to preserve properties. Ray has been a continuously active member of Saratoga Plan, is currently a member emeritus of the Emeritus Board, and has served previously on the Board of Directors for the organization. He has played a role on the Stewardship Committee for Saratoga Plan as well. Focusing on his work in the town of Clifton Park, Ray has been actively involved with the Friends of Clifton Park Open Space, a local advocacy group that supports land conservation within the town of Clifton Park. He helped the group conduct a special study of the conservation resources of the town with the help of Siena College. Ray was an original member of the town's Open Space Committee that developed the Town of Clifton Park Open Space Plan. And in 2000, when we initiated the open space planning process and appointed a committee, Ray was one of the charter members, and he was one of our go-to folks back then, 18 and a half years ago, right? Can you believe that? Time has flown, but we're both still here so far. And then, let's see, but Ray was subsequently appointed to the Town of Clifton Park's Open Space Trails and Riverfront Committee, which was formed in 2006. And what the town board did at that point, they just basically, we had an open space committee, we had a trails committee, we had all these different committees, so we combined them into one to put all of our resources together, working towards one common goal with our liaison, trusted liaison over there, Mr. Romano. Ray helped develop the initial baseline report and development of a permanent conservation easement with Riverview Orchards, helping to champion the protection of 87 acres of the orchards by the Town of Clifton Park. He is highly knowledgeable about natural areas, and he is certainly in his element being outdoors. Ray has led public walks in the various nature preserves in town for the Open Space Day event, and as we've acquired properties and expanded our parks and recreational network, it's important that we look towards stewardship and also highlight them for folks that live here that may not know about these areas, and Ray has certainly helped us do that. He's been a great communicator about the values and importance of conserving natural areas and all of the many roles he has played, including in his current key role for the Town of Clifton Park as the chair of the Stewardship Subcommittee of the Open Space Committee. He has been a leader in articulating the importance of clear management goals and developing protocols and management plans for the numerous nature preserves and parks with natural areas in town. The entire community of Clifton Park is fortunate to have had Ray Seymour being such a leader in the conservation of the agricultural, natural, and scenic qualities of the Town of Clifton Park for future generations to enjoy. So we have a presentation for Ray. I've already given this to him twice. I'm going to let you keep it this time. Third time's the charm.
It's going to be threadbare.
It's going to be awfully natural looking. But again, I do want to thank Ray for all of his efforts over the last 18 and a half years as a key member of the town's open space preservation efforts, his work with Saratoga Plan, and his ability to really build a consensus, bring people together, and help the town execute our goals. And that's all we can ask of a volunteer, Ray. You've just been tremendous. I want to also thank some of you.
You're going to double my pay now.
Now, we haven't paid him much over the last 18 and a half years, but labor of love, right?
That's right. That's right.
I tell them there's such distinction in this volunteer effort. But Alicia Jacobs and Bill Connor and Dan Mathias, Jim Rule, Jerry Burr, I want to thank you all for your efforts as part of our open space preservation efforts here with the Town of Clifton Park. So there you go, Ray. You can keep it this time. Congratulations.
Well, thank you
God
very
bless
much.
you.
Actually, take this home.
Yes, you do. Put it in a nice.
Thank you.
And each year it is a tough choice because we've, like I said, we started our open space preservation efforts in 2000. So, and we're very fortunate in Clifton Park to have many dedicated volunteers in this initiative. So it's always a difficult choice. And but the good news is we got plenty of choices for next year's award, right? So again, thank you, Ray, and thank you all. All right, we do have several resolutions for consideration. Pat, if you'd read through those, and we'll go from there.
A resolution authorizing the receiver of taxes and assessments to attend the New York State Association of Tax Receivers and Collectors Seminar. Whereas Rose Zavala, receiver of taxes and assessments, has requested permission to attend the New York State Association of Towns Tax Collectors Seminar to be held at the Golden Arrow Lakeside Resort in Lake Placid, New York, June 10th through the 13th, at a cost not to exceed $800. And whereas the amount has been budgeted for 2018 in the budget line tax collector travel and conferences, and whereas attendance at the seminar would confer a benefit to the town citizens, now therefore be resolved that Rose Zavala is hereby authorized to attend the tax collector seminar in Lake Placid, New York, from June 10th through the 13th, at a cost not to exceed $800, which includes registration fee, lodging, and meals to be vouchered appropriately and to be paid from budget line item tax collector travel and conferences. A resolution authorizing the hiring of 2018 summer help for the Buildings and Grounds Department. Whereas openings exist for seasonal help in the Buildings and Grounds Department, and whereas Daniel Clemens, Buildings and Grounds Supervisor, has recommended that the individuals listed as summer hires for Buildings and Grounds on the attached Schedule A be hired to fill positions. Now therefore be it resolved that Jeffrey Frey and Christopher Jupin be hired as seasonal workers for Buildings and Grounds for the summer of 2018 at $10 per hour, effective immediately, to be budgeted from that line as listed. A resolution authorizing the hiring of 2019 summer help for the Clifton Oaks Park District. Whereas openings exist for seasonal landscaping work in the Clifton Oaks Park District, and whereas Daniel Clemens, Buildings and Grounds Supervisor, has recommended that the individuals listed as summer hires for Clifton Oaks on the attached Schedule A be hired to fill positions, now therefore be resolved that Joseph D. Finciani and Michael Skolnick be hired as seasonal workers for Buildings and Grounds for the summer of 2018 at $10 per hour, effective immediately, to be budgeted from, and that line is listed. A resolution accepting the conveyance of a portion of roadways, open space parcels, and utility and access easements subject to easements retained for driveway access. Whereas as a condition of approval of the Oronaka Farms residential subdivision, also known as Fisher's Landing, March 27, 2007, Town of Clifton Park Planning Board required that the applicant convey lands to the Town of Clifton Park for such purposes as are incidental thereto for the benefit of the grantee. Now therefore be resolved that the Town Board hereby accepts the conveyance of lands and roads of Kane Development LLC, briefly described as Pondview Drive, Bridgewater Court, Open Space Parcel A, Open Space Parcel B, Utility Easement Lot 18 and 19, also known as 6 and 8 Bridgewater Court, Utility Easement and future right-of-way easement along Fisher Ferry Road, and be further resolved that this conveyance is expressly conditioned upon receipt and approval by the town attorney of all necessary documents, including review of the recorded deed in the Saratoga County Clerk's Office, needs and bounds, description of the conveyance of retained easements, provision of a title report, provisions for payment of all taxes, recording fees, and assessments which are acceptable to the town attorney. Be further resolved that they be appended to the within resolution a copy of the recorded conveyance after it has been filed with the Saratoga County Clerk, and be further resolved that in accordance with the provision of Section 171 of the Highway Law of the State of New York, consent be and the same hereby is given to the Superintendent of Highways of the Town of Clifton Park to make an order laying out the aforesaid roads as public highways, and be further resolved that the Town Superintendent of Highways is hereby authorized to post a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit for the herein described highway, together with all necessary regulatory signs for proper traffic control. A resolution appointing Susan H. Leonard to permanent status as Director of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center. Whereas Susan Leonard, Spruce Creek Clifton Park, was provisionally appointed by Resolution Number 175 of 2017 as the Director of the Senior Community Center. And whereas Susan Leonard successfully passed the civil service exam for the position of Director of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center and was certified as a permanent employee on May 15, 2018, now therefore be resolved that Susan Leonard, Spruce Street, Clifton Park, is hereby appointed to permanent status as Director of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center for civil service certification as of May 15, 2018. Resolution authorizing an amendment to the 2018 Summer Pool Directors Managers Schedule A. Whereas by Resolution Number 78 of 2018, Town Board authorized the hiring of management and training staff to operate the 3 town-owned pools for the 2018 season. And whereas the Town Board wishes to hire Michael Stone, Kings Road, Schenectady, in the place of David Chakowski, as originally listed in Schedule A of 2018 Summer Pool Director Managers, now therefore be resolved that the attached Schedule A as amended will be the staff for the 3 town-owned pools with start dates and ending dates as indicated. A resolution authorizing the hiring of Megan Mydosh as account clerk typist in the Comptroller's Office. Whereas an opening exists for the position of account clerk typist in the Comptroller's Office, and whereas the Comptroller's Office interviewed eligible candidates from the account clerk typist certification of eligibles list maintained by the Saratoga County Department of Personnel. And whereas after interviewing Megan Mydosh in Clifton Park and reviewing her qualifications, Mark Hagan, Comptroller, has recommended that Ms. Mydosh be hired to fill the position. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the County of Clifton Park hereby authorizes the hiring of Megan Mydosh to fill the position of account clerk typist at grade 4, step 1, $23.02 per hour. Effective June 4th, 2018, the amount of $24,171 needed for the balance of 2018 to be paid with the transfer from and those lines listed. A resolution supporting the application of Maple Hill Farm to the Saratoga County Farmland and Open Space Protection Program. Whereas Kurt and Juliet Swartz are the owners of certain real property known as Maple Hill Farm, consisting of approximately 72.9 acres of viable agricultural land in the tax map parcel 263.2-8.1 located on Ashdown Road and 146A in the town of Clifton Park. And whereas the Swartzes are interested in protecting the property for agricultural purposes by conveying a permanent conservation easement on the land, and whereas the town's comprehensive planning documents include the comprehensive plan and the Clifton Park Open Space Plan adopted by the town board by resolution 115 of 2003. And whereas the town's open space plan includes a farmland protection program with the primary goal to preserve and enhance the historic and residential, agricultural, and rural nature of the town of Clifton Park, and to protect farmland by partnering with state and federal grant programs to obtain conservation easements. And whereas the Saratoga County Farmland Protection and Open Space Preservation Grant Program was established in 2003 by the County Board of Supervisors to aid farmers in meeting the required local match of the New York State Farmland Protection Implementation Grant Program, which enables the purchase of development rights on eligible farmland. Whereas the Saratoga County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board passed a resolution endorsing the conservation of this property on April 25, 2018. And whereas the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors has allocated $100,000 for the 2018 Farmland Protection and Open Space Grant Program, and eligible applicants include all Saratoga County municipalities and not-for-profit land trusts. And whereas Saratoga Plan is a New York not-for-profit conservation organization dedicated to preserving the rural character, natural habitats, and scenic beauty of Saratoga County, so these irreplaceable assets are accessible to all and available for present and future generations. And whereas the Maple Hill Farm agricultural property is a working farm and is squarely within the primary goals of both the town's comprehensive planning documents and the county farmland protection program, now therefore be it resolved that the town board fully supports and endorses the application by Saratoga Plan for Maple Hill Farm for funding from Saratoga County, and be it further resolved that the town board is willing to partner with Saratoga Plan to facilitate grant funding from Saratoga County to Saratoga Plan, and is willing to consider contributing to the project. The resolution supporting the application of Bowman Orchards to the Saratoga County Farmland and Open Space Protection Program. Whereas Kevin and Martha Bowman and Bowman Real Estate Holding Company, LLC, are the owners of certain real property known as Bowman Orchards, and consisting of approximately 95.65 acres of viable agricultural land in tax map parcels that are located on Sugar Hill Road in the town of Clifton Park. And whereas the Bowmans are interested in protecting the property for agricultural purposes by conveying a permanent conservation easement on the land, and whereas the town's comprehensive planning documents include the comprehensive plan and the Clifton Park Open Space Plan adopted by the town board by resolution number 115 of 2003, and whereas the town's open space plan includes a farmland protection program with the primary goal to preserve and enhance the historic residential, agricultural, and rural nature of the town of Clifton Park, and to protect farmland by partnering with state and federal grant programs to obtain conservation easements. And whereas the Saratoga County Farmland Protection and Open Space Preservation Grant Program was established in 2003 by the County Board of Supervisors to aid farmers in meeting the required local match of the New York State Farmland Protection Implementation Grant Program, which enables the purchase of development rights on eligible farmland. And whereas the Saratoga County Agricultural and Farmland Protection Board passed a resolution endorsing the conservation of this property on April 25th, 2018. And whereas the Saratoga County Board of Supervisors has allocated $100,000 for the 2018 Farmland Protection and Open Space Grant Program, and eligible applicants include all Saratoga County municipalities and not-for-profit land trusts. And whereas Saratoga Plan is a New York not-for-profit conservation organization dedicated to preserving the rural character, natural habitats, and scenic beauty of Saratoga County, so these irreplaceable assets are accessible to all and available for present and future generations. And whereas the Bowman Agricultural Property is a working farm and is squarely within the primary goals of both the town's comprehensive planning documents and the County Farmland Protection Program, now therefore be resolved that the town board fully supports and endorses the application by Saratoga Plan for Bowman Orchards for funding from Saratoga County. And be it further resolved that the town board is willing to partner with Saratoga Plan to facilitate grant funding from Saratoga County to Saratoga Plan, and is willing to consider contributing to the project. A resolution awarding a contract for upgrades to Kids Corner Playground to Play by Design. Whereas Supervisor Barrett has been working with user groups on concepts and plans for potential upgrades to the Kids Corner Playground at the Clifton Common. And whereas the town has reviewed proposals for design plans and concepts for modernizing the play area and constructing play apparatus at the park. And whereas Play by Design, West Buffalo Street, Ithaca, New York, has proposed a custom design concept for the upgrades to the Kids Corner area of the playground, which includes specification and supply of playground equipment for the play area. And whereas Play by Design will provide design services as well as carpentry, labor, materials, safety, surfacing, and will specify and provide the playground equipment. And whereas the play area will be designed to current ASTM and Consumer Product Safety Commission guidelines, and will meet the Americans with Disabilities Act accessory guidelines. And whereas the design concept by Play by Design best meets the town's needs based on the type of equipment specified, layout concept, safety, surfacing, and pricing. Now therefore be resolved that the town board awards a lump sum contract for the design specifications and construction of upgraded equipment and play area for the Kids Corner Playground at the Clifton Common to Play by Design in an amount not to exceed $76,000, and be it further resolved that the controller is authorized to transfer $76,000 designated for capital projects from, and the lines are listed, to fund the project. A resolution approving a NYSERDA contract and grant funding for LED lighting at Prestige Services Arena. Whereas the town of Clifton Park participates in the Clean Energy Community Program and has achieved the high impact items required to qualify for grant funding under the program. And whereas the town has been awarded a grant from NYSERDA in the amount of $50,000 under the program to be used to offset costs of energy efficiency programs. And whereas by resolution number 22 of 2018, the town board awarded a bid for LED upgrades to the lighting system at the Prestige Services Arena, the Gray Bar Electric, and at the basketball courts at the Clifton Common. And whereas upgraded lighting system will improve the user experience for the hockey teams and skaters that use the ice arena, as well as the indoor lacrosse, summer day camp, and the basketball leagues, and recreational users at the basketball courts, while saving substantial energy costs to the town's operation of these popular recreational facilities. And whereas the town board wishes to accept the $50,000 grant proposed by NYSERDA to enable work to begin on the LED upgrade project, now therefore be resolved that the supervisor is authorized to execute the attached agreement with NYSERDA for grant funding in support of the LED upgrade project at Prestige Services Arena and the basketball courts at the Clifton Common.
Okay, any questions on the resolutions? Okay, Pat, if you could read the headings and we'll consider each one individually.
Resolution number 127 of 2018, a resolution authorizing the receiver of taxes and assessments to attend the New York State Association of Tax Receivers and Collectors Seminar.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. Discussion.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Mr. Milano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallowit? Supervisor Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 128 of 2018, a resolution authorizing the hiring of 2018 summer help for Buildings and Grounds Department.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Wallowit. So this brings us to how many, Dan?
That makes 9.
Okay.
Yep,
Good.
we're at full, we're good to go, same as we had last couple of years.
Good, good. So we, in addition to the many lifeguards and camp counselors that we hire, we also hire several buildings and grounds workers, 18 or older. You have to be 18 to use certain equipment. And these are usually the last ones that end up getting filled. Tougher to fill and find people that want them, but should be all set now.
Yes, sir, we're good.
Very good. Pat?
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick.
Yes.
President Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 129 of 2018, a resolution authorizing the hiring of 2018 summer help for the Cliftonville Park District.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walwick. Discussion.
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick.
Yes.
President Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 130 of 2018, a resolution accepting the conveyance of a portion of roadways, open space parcels, and utility and access easements subject to easements retained for driveway access.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Walwick. You've talked to Judy Hughes, right?
Yes.
About the Park District and,
Yep.
yeah, so we're on the same page there.
Yes, I do believe so, yep.
All right, good.
Definitely.
Well, if you could just let her know that this is official now.
Okay,
Maybe Margie can send her the resolution tomorrow. And yeah, I just wanted to make sure you did talk. Good, good.
problem.
All right. Pat?
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick.
Yes.
President Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 131 of 2018, a resolution appointing Susan H. Leonard to permanent status as Director of the Clifton Park Senior Community Center.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Ms. Walwick, second by Mrs. Standard. Discussion.
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick. Yes. President Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 132 of 2018, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the 2018 Summer Pool Directors Manager Schedule A.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Ms. Walwick. Discussion.
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick. Yes. President Barrett.
Yes.
Resolution number 133 of 2018, a resolution authorizing the hiring of Megan Mydosh as account clerk typist in the Comptroller's Office.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Walwick. Chris Pagnello was promoted to deputy town clerk. She was our receiver of taxes, so she'll be going full-time in the clerk's office next week. Rose Savallo was then promoted to receiver of taxes. Once that promotion was in place, we conducted a few interviews with the top-ranked scorers on the civil service list. We get that list from the county when we have an opening. Megan Mydosh was one of those interviewees, and her work experience placed her above the other candidates, and so she was selected by our interviewing committee made up of myself, Mr. Whalen, and Mark Hagan to replace Rose Savallo, which we expect she will do on June 4th. Any discussion? Anything you want to add, Mark?
No, we're just looking forward to having her come aboard.
Yeah, won't be long. So it's good. Everybody's in close proximity with all these promotions, and so it makes the training a little easier too. So we expect a seamless transition all the way around. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Standard.
Yes.
Councilman Romano.
Yes.
Councilman Walwick. Yes. President Barrett.
Yes, congratulations.
Resolution 134 of 2018, a resolution supporting the application of Maple Hill Farm to the Saratoga County Farmland and Open Space Protection Program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Romano, second by Ms. Walwick. We have two resolutions. One involves the Bowman Farm. The other is Kurt and Juliet Schwartz. And they are interested in pursuing opportunities for permanent protection of their property. The town can play a role in that process, and process that we hope will have a successful conclusion. So this is the first part to show that the town does support this effort and is willing to play a role. Okay, Pat?
Councilman Standar?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallowitz?
Yes.
Dr. Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 135 of 2018, a resolution supporting the application of Coleman Orchard to the Saratoga County Farmland and Open Space Protection Program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Wallowitz, second by Mr. Romano. Discussion.
Councilman Standar?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Wallowitz? And Dr. Barrett?
Yes. The moment Pat has been waiting for, my presentation, brief but detailed presentation.
Okay, resolution number 136 of 2018, a resolution awarding a contractor upgrades to Kids Corner Playground to play by design.
So moved.
Nobody else wants to say it.
I'm giving the darn presentation. Hey, I don't care what you guys do.
Let's second
All right.
it.
No, we're not, who seconded it?
Linda just.
Oh, okay, very good. All right, so I'm not going to spend much time on this because we've already shown you all these slides. Which one is it? This little one? Oh, the red one. So we did show you this already, but I figured since we're at the end of the process, we would just show it again just to give everybody an indication of what we're doing. Again, very brief when you, because we have shown various versions of the options that we've been thinking about, getting that information on the website. And I want to thank everybody that's provided some feedback to us, because that's very important. We also have a committee that was established. I want to thank them for dedicating all their time on this initiative. It's too bad Mr. Whalen's not here tonight because he has also put a lot of time and effort as a member of the committee. So I want to thank him as well. So this is going to be a improvement and new equipment in a portion of the playground that's on the common. And I see a lot of students here, probably juniors and seniors at Shen. I'm sure you spent a lot of your days in your youth on the playground, right? Who played on the playground? It's okay. Good. A lot of hands. So as you enter the front of the park by the parking lot, on the left-hand side, that front quadrant, is where this equipment is going to go, and it's basically going to be for the age group of 2 to 5. So it's going to be for very young kids to enjoy. At the end, there's a proposed layout, and we still need to work through the details with Play by Design, who's the company, which we will do. But this just gives you some examples of what their equipment looks like and what the various features within the park might look like. Now, this proposal and the last proposal that we received were very similar. The last proposal we received was the company that provided the equipment for the original park. Okay? This company is made up of principals that formerly worked for that company who went and started their own company years ago. So the designs are similar in nature. And it was clear from the feedback we had received from many residents that they prefer the look and feel of the current park, and they would like that maintained. So this proposal does that, and it's less expensive. Their estimate was less expensive than the third proposal, which again was similar in nature and from the company that did the original park. So again, this just gives you some examples of some of the elements that we will have within our new equipment. As you can see, peaked roofs. It looks like wood. It's not. It's plastic. So right now the playground's real wood, which is good, but it also has some drawbacks when it gets to be 30 years old. And we're facing that right now. So again, I just wanted to give you some, and if the press wants any of these pictures, certainly we can get those to them.
They can take them right off our website.
Or you can just take them off the website. And this is the layout that they put together. Now we might change this a little bit, but a lot of the stuff you just saw, like the swinging turtle, and the arch bridge, and the monkey bars, and the balance beam, Macintosh apple tree. You have the benches on the left and right towards the top. Step ladder, congas. These are all things that you just saw examples of that they've incorporated into this proposed drawing. So now we'll work with them on the specifics of the layout. It might change a little bit from what you see here, but probably not too much. That's a 3D look, and we have a couple of these from different directions. But definitely a big improvement. Now, if you could hit the lights, please. Now, we focused on this area because there's individual equipment within the area that is not working the way it should. Stuff that used to swing that doesn't swing anymore. That's beyond trying to give, it's beyond TLC at this point. So we're going to remove all that and then insert this equipment here. Now we've also talked about what the base will look like. Right now it's all that pea stone that you're familiar with, that you used to throw at each other probably, right? So this is the new stuff. We looked at a couple of things, a poured rubber matting, and also this, which is called a rubber mulch. So it's rubbery, it's soft. If you fall on it, you're not going to scrape yourself up. And it'll last a long time. And this will actually last longer than the poured rubber base that we were considering. That does tend to wear, especially if there's a color involved. And we saw other parks where that was happening, and that kind of said, "Ooh, I'm not sure if I like that." So this was the alternate. I'll just pass this around. Ray, you can't take that home. So that's what we're looking to put as the base, something different. And we believe that once these improvements are done, and it's going to be in the area of $76,000, once they're done, it might spur interest in replacing the whole park, which will have to be done at some point. Now, Dan and the crew have been working very hard, and the town board knows this. I did give them an update on this. We found a paint that is marketed for decks and play equipment, and it's a very thick paint. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it's kind of a thick paint / stain. And with a coat or two, you can take a fairly rough surface and smooth it out. It works very, very well. So we got a sample of it from Sherwin-Williams, and we tried it out, and we were very impressed with it. So what we did was put that paint on all the areas that the kids touch on a regular basis, all the railings, anywhere where the kids would touch. We put a couple of coats of that paint there to smooth out any rough edges. And then we're getting the matching stain, or we have the matching stain at this point, and we're going to put a coat on the rest of the equipment. So it should last longer. Should be a little smoother to the touch. Dan and the guys have done a great job with putting a lot of attention, TLC, into the piece of equipment over the last couple of months. Last year, I guess it was the fall of last year, we showed you a whole bunch of different priorities that we identified as a group, and all of those priorities have been completed except for the new equipment being installed. But at that time, we had no idea what kind of plane we might have. Now we do. So I want to thank the town board, Mr. Whalen, who was part of our committee, and all the volunteers that have helped out along the way, and everybody that has sent us their feedback. We appreciate it. So that's an update on where we are. Oh, Pat's question on the bricks. See, Pat, I was almost done.
Sorry.
No, we had talked about the bricks too. There's a brick path that goes around the equipment, and that also has been there for going on 3 decades. So what we've decided to do is keep the bricks in place. Some of them are engraved, so we're going to keep those in place, but we are going to do some work to improve the overall look of that brick path. Okay, so there's probably some areas that we'll remove and replace. There's places where trees have become bigger and roots have come under that brick path and compromised the bricks. And there's other areas where there's some more grass growing in between the bricks. So those are things that we're going to work on, but we want to keep the bricks in place. We understand there's a deep connection to the park, and the names engraved on those bricks, those are all the original people that donated to the park going on 30 years ago. That's the answer to that question. I'm sure Pat has other questions. You have other questions?
No, I think
Oh, you
that's
don't? Does the board have any questions? All right, well, thanks again for all your help through the process, and we look forward to our new equipment.
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlwood? Yes. Dr. Barrett?
Yes.
Resolution number 137 of 2018, a resolution approving a NYSERDA contract and grant funding for LED lighting at Prestige Services Arena. So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Standard, second by Mr. Romano. This is a grant opportunity we've been working on for some time. This is the final step to get to the point where we can access the $50,000 in grant money. We have 2 uses identified for the money. The first is to change out all the lights in the ice arena to LED lights, which will save the town a large amount of funds. We had Gray Bar, who was the winning bidder here. He gave, Ray Andrews gave a presentation, detailed all of those savings that the town will realize, so I can get that information to the press if they so desire. But that's one project. The other project will be exchanging the lights and exchanging the bulbs at the basketball courts, changing those over to LED lighting. We're also going to install a new management system, so we'll have better controls over the lights and when they can be used. And we'll also have an announcement along those lines once we have the new lights installed in the control system, where we're going to have some night basketball. So instead of closing down the park at our usual time, we'll have opportunities for people to play at the courts, at the common, past the usual curfew. So that'll hopefully be something that will, I think it'll be very popular, but we'll have more to come on that. We still need to get the project done, which we will as soon as possible. Now, Dan, you're working on all of that information to get to us, right?
That's correct, yeah. I met with the guy today, actually, and I got some really good news about the control system.
Good.
Yeah, it's going to be as exciting.
Good, good. Yeah, so it'll be good. We'll be able to control the lights a lot better, and you know, I know there is some interest in playing there at night, and you know, if that's something we can offer more consistently with a new system, I think we should go ahead and do that. Any questions? All right, very good. Pat?
Councilman Standard? Yes. Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Marlwood? Yes. Supervisor Barrett?
Yes. Okay. Any other business to come before the board this evening? Okay, seeing none. We'll go to public privilege. If you'd like to speak on a town matter, please raise your hand. We'll ask that you come forward. State your name and address for the record, and please keep it to 5 minutes or less. Mr. Seymour, how are you tonight? You want to play some basketball?
Right now.
Raymond Seymour, 7 Navajo Road, Clifton Park. Two items that I just wanted to comment on. The first was it's very good news to hear about the two farms, Resolution 134 and 135. I will attest again, as I said on Saturday, there are no leaks in this administration. I'm on the Open Space Committee, and I'm on the Stewardship Committee for Saratoga Plan, and neither mentioned these two farms.
How's that?
We knew something was going on, but we did not know who they were. The second
You didn't know you were getting the award either.
I did not know I was going to.
So you're
I'm really
right.
clueless.
There's
yeah.
no leaks in this. There are no leaks in this industry.
The second item has to do with the award, and I do really I want to thank the judging committee, whomever they might be, for determining that I should receive this. But in fact, and this is for all of our benefit, I think we're only successful when we work as a group. There's no one who can do this by himself or herself. Going back to the original planning committee in 2000, which was led by Jim Romano and David Miller, we probably would not have been successful without that guidance at that time. We have, I think, an outstanding open space riverfront, Trails and Riverfront Committee right now. Very active, very good group. The advocacy of Friends of Clifton Park Open Space, I think, has been probably a very, very good visionary factor. And that's where I'm going with this. We have to have a shared vision for anything really good to be accomplished. I was thinking, I'm a history buff, and I was thinking that back in 1853, some very wealthy people who living in New York City decided that they really needed to have a different kind of a place for New York City. If you remember, New York City was growing very rapidly. The population had expanded from what is now Greenwich Village up to almost Harlem. And they decided, we think that there should be some green space. That green space is the Central Park in New York City. It was the first urban landscape park in the country. And the design of that park was the result of two men, Vaux and Homestead. And to me, they carried out a vision that somebody else had. I think this town started with a vision, actually predating the year 2000. I remember going back to 1986, periodically all towns would have to do what they call a master plan. And it was always called the Master Plan for Development. Now, at that time, some of us were asked, maybe we should insert something about open space in our master plan. That was the first time, I think, in any town in the whole capital district, that there was a phraseology that referred to open space in its master plan for development. And ever since then, there's been this continuous movement in a positive way. So I think that there's a lot of credit to go around. People sitting here at this dais deserve a tremendous amount of credit. The staff who works for this town deserve a lot of credit. And certainly I can't underestimate the influence of volunteers, people who are not paid, but who have a passion for this kind of work and getting things done. And I can't say this, I can't leave the podium without saying one of the sterling examples is obviously Frank Berlin. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, and he was very sorry he couldn't be here tonight.
Yes.
But you're right, way back in 2000, we appointed Mr. Romano and Dave Miller as co-chairs. Now Jim's on the town board, so he's still around 18 and a half years later. Feeling young as spry as ever, as you can tell. Dave Miller is still chairman of the Open Space Trails and Riverfront Committee. So it's not only the expertise, Dave with his Audubon experience at that time. Jim had been a member of the planning board, which was very important. We had a great committee, people like Ray and so many others. It's it's not only the expertise, it's not only the dedication of the volunteers, it's not only the direction of the policymakers, us on the town board, but it's the continuity between all of those groups and the people that make up those groups over the years. And all the people I mentioned just offhand that are here still working towards the goals that we set in 2000, 18 and a half years later. I think that's a big reason why we've been able to be successful along those lines. So I'm very proud of our team and everything that we've accomplished over the years, and it's amazing to see something, an initiative like that start small and then it grows, and as it becomes more successful, more people want to become involved, and the volunteer ranks have grown over the years because of that. So it's contagious, right? Very good. Anyone else that would like to speak on a town matter? Okay. No takers? Smaller?
Second.
Mrs. Standard?
Councilman Standard?
Yes.
Councilman Romano?
Yes.
Councilman Baldwin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor?
Yes, thank you.